justice for all.
First order of business is public comment. Will you be discussing parking and parkland?
Not really.
Really? Okay.
Unless,
To the extent that it's on the paperwork.
Just if you need clarification, if you put in Gloucester on that, thank you. You know,
You have copies of that?
Yeah.
Did I have copies? Yeah, that'd be great. You got another?
fine.
Love a good map.
You circulated.
Yeah.
Except once the park, which is hopefully those bills.
that might be a record 30 seconds and we're off track already. First order of business, planning board recommendations. Take the way to keep that.
Yeah. People want to do, we look at the comprehensive plan. We try to follow the comprehensive plan as best we can. And sometimes the comprehensive plan doesn't jive with our code, building code. And the building code is not, we just adopted that, I think, 30 years ago from Malta. It's really, so, yeah, as time passes, we've been updating it, putting more Round Lake in it, but we really haven't, you know, it's too big a job without changing the whole code. Rewrite it for Round Lake, but we just insert the comprehensive plan. What these are some of the definitions, it's just a pain in the ass when you deal with people and they say, I say, you know, the height limitation is 32 feet. They say, yeah, but I can measure from the collar beam in the attic. And so I can go up 36 or 38 feet. No, so I just wanted to change that. So we're all on the same page. We measure from the ground to the peak of the roof, and that's the building height. It's not to the collar beam.
What about a chimney?
I'm not gonna get church steeples, chimneys, they're all off. We don't deal with it.
Include,
Yeah,
excluding
right.
chimneys or.
So the,
Okay.
The rule is, I want to make sure people know what they can do. So are we excluding chimneys?
Well, this is the highest point of the roof, right? So
Yeah.
that is. That by nature is the roof, the chimney's not part of the roof.
Right.
So I think it's pretty plain language.
Sure.
I could-
Yeah, exactly.
Because people would want it any other way.
Yeah.
And we'd already talked about intended being excluded, so we're excluding
Yes.
chimneys.
I mean, I think in our code, it does exclude.
Is there anything else people put on the roofs that we should include
Other
here?
thing.
Christmas decorations.
Satellite dishes.
But,
weather babies.
Whether it's satellite dishes,
Lightning rods.
Do people put like satellite dishes on there?
I haven't seen that.
Not these days, no.
And so just the red lettering, the red writing is the new version?
Yes,
Okay.
so we were dealing with building, I'm dealing with building height definitions, I argue with people in the village all the time, just, this makes my life easy to say. That's what the. People say, oh, I'm putting up a big deck, but you can't do anything about it because it's not a building. And I don't have to meet setbacks, and I don't have to meet this, I'm doing all these retaining walls in my backyard, and you can't say anything about it because. And I'm saying, if you look at our bulk regulations, which is in our code. We call it structures, setbacks are for structures, not just for buildings. So I just want to get our definitions to match what we have in our bulk regulations.
I know of at least one generator that's in the right of way. Do we basically grandfather them in, or, I mean,
I
the
think we have,
legislation will say from. When it takes effect, 30 days from blah, 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 so.
yeah, I mean, we have to.
Yeah, well, I would, we have generators on neighbors' property.
Yeah.
But our problem is if we enforce it against one person, then we have to enforce it against everyone.
Right.
Oh,
I think that it's just, so when somebody comes in and says, I'm doing a deck. And I say, well, you have to be a setback with the deck.
Yeah.
And they say, no, I don't have it, there's no. A deck is not a, I've had people say, I say, if you look at the bulk regulations and structure, a deck is not a structure, it's a structure.
But anything that sits on the ground and occupies space is basically
Right,
a
and it's
definition of a structure.
Yeah. I think in terms of like you were saying about grandfathering, there's very few villages, there are very few buildings in that parts. It's all. A lot of houses that are in negative spaces in place, the
Yeah.
entire houses that are in negative spaces in relation to setbacks, so.
Right,
and keep in mind, we have an MS4 requirement. It's our duty to make sure that, we don't have increased runoff.
Right.
If someone puts a patio out there, that increases runoff, and then we end up being responsible to the state for going to regulate it. So this makes it clear that we get the opportunity to make sure that it's code compliant, including runoff.
The only, go ahead.
That's, sorry, MS4,
Yes.
okay, is that a state requirement?
that is
the
the
state.
sure. Or. So. What. To the state and to the federal government,
Municipals.
storm,
Something, 4 S's, I think, storm sewer.
all I know is,
We should know.
1 year, I used to do this with, Blue, a guy from Cornell. Would help the village with their, but he doesn't help us anymore. And 1 year I thought, I did the report. Take it to him. Submit, did, but. Submitted. And I got a phone call from DEC saying, you have 10 days to get the report, then it's $24,000 a day, that it's late.
Okay, so if we're.
We got it.
Okay.
And it is, I hate to use this bad language in front of a lady, an unfunded mandate, like so many others.
Yeah.
Expensive to enforce, and
I have no problem with the. Included but not fitted to, or some sort of language around that.
well, that's what EG means, for
Yeah,
example.
okay, but yes, but there's things like swing sets and things like
I
that
was,
too, which,
to me,
yeah,
no, I think we have to use common sense to.
okay. But yeah, the problem is people weren't using common sense, which is why we have to put this language in, and if we put this language in and people continue not to use, well, you didn't say.
Right.
I. Or. We're trying to be explicit here, right?
Okay, so you're suggesting including but not limited to.
Yes, exactly, it's a,
Okay,
yeah. Because these are kind of the items that you've had problems with, right? Generators, patios, decks,
Right.
those are the sort of. Things. Come on.
I think they're pretty good.
Okay,
And,
all right,
now, again, we use architectural standards for when we review a project. And, we had a disaster with the project on Lake Avenue. With they submitted certain drawings with this is what it's gonna look like, and they built something totally different. And, I don't want that to happen again. I'm gonna have said, you have to do it this way. So the way this is. In addition. If you do that, more than 50% of this, you have to meet the current code. So in other words, if you renovate your house and you're doing a bathroom or kitchen or something like that. And so let's say even cost $50,000, it's not half of the value of the house. you don't have to meet the current code with the rest of your house. If you do a big,
Code is misleading. We think of code, we think of the state, building and fire code. We're talking about architectural standards here, not the code.
I'm talking about the building code. I'm talking about state building code. I'm talking about. If you do 50% more, if this is what the code. The value of the house. You have to meet, all the wiring in the house has to meet state
Entire
code.
house.
Everything in the house has to meet, then you have to meet the, all the code issues.
So you're not talking about what we've got here. You're just saying this is a general.
That's the code, that's how it reads. But I'm saying here, we're looking at people putting additions on their houses. People, you know, comprehensive plan, we should try to keep the village that Victorian look. And we don't want people putting big bay windows in the front of their house or but God knows what.
So now we are talking about what we've got here.
Yeah, now we are. So we just like people to try to keep the village as historic as possible and tell people no, you can't put that siding on your addition or, you know.
So talking about these two changes, sir. Is the board okay with that? Should we?
The few red lines,
Under other recommendations for changes?
No, we're not doing that.
just the first two, the accessory building. Yeah, I would just, other than my suggestion of including but not limited to, which I don't know if the rest of the board's okay with that. but-
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. Particular.
What would you make it?
So we're not gonna do, the recommendations?
I just wanted to finish that first.
Okay.
Are these just things you want to put on our radar, Peter, for down the road, the other recommendations, or is that something you prefer to be pushing forward?
I think the zoning board's gonna try and enforce that anyway.
Okay,
I mean, I think it turned out when they built the house on Ames Avenue overlooking the lake, that ranch house.
Yeah.
That's now an Airbnb. When the guy first built that. He was at the planning board, I gave him a real hard time, so you have to be. And I got. Right. Later came back to me and said, you know, you're right, if you read the comprehensive plan, your house, they should try to meet. Architectural standards that we have adopted.
Yeah.
And so I just think that people should try to meet
I agree.
the architectural standards.
So, wait, we're gonna find, does the board want to do that?
Is there any, I'm just unfamiliar with how the architectural standards currently apply, to. Isn't this how it's currently applied, but you're asking for it to be enforced, that? Or.
Yeah. What's,
Yeah,
It can be enforced on major subdivisions.
Yes.
we never did, to be honest with you.
Well, we tried.
Yeah, and but people said, oh, Griffin's Ridge, it's isolated, how can they manage it?
But we still, visions for, porches to be
Yeah.
certain,
Yeah.
widths and lengths and everything and.
And if Randy screwed us, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, but the point is that we required him to give us elevations of the houses. And we agreed that they were consistent.
Right,
with
the elevations
architectural
were good.
standards. So
The issue became with the front porch is the width of a front porch. We said, in our code, we said they had to be X feet wide, he said, you didn't say that. You just gave a number, we assumed that was the length, not the width, and he was right.
Yeah.
okay, so we do better next time.
Yeah,
The point is, the architectural standards do apply to major subdivisions.
Right.
But we want, we, or the planning board is suggesting that those architectural standards apply to
If you
a
do
single
have-
family home that's being newly constructed or modified, you know, to the extent of 50% of the value of the.
Yeah.
the house.
I think it makes even more sense for that, subdivision, us, so. Yeah, Those are places within the same footprint.
And so what we're saying is, we're gonna try to enforce that, the planning board.
Okay.
So is it essentially applying to anything that requires a building permit?
And no, if anybody's, it depends on what they're doing. You know, if you don't need, if you're doing an addition on your house, we like elevations to see what it's gonna look like. And otherwise, we don't, if you're doing, we don't ask for elevation for anything else,
Yeah.
just additions, really.
They've got to get it, or either whether or not it meets the threshold for having to meet architectural standards,
Right,
if that's what the village board wants to do.
and the other one is the new paragraph.
Wait, don't move on, I'm trying to find out whether this is a,
Are we taking action on these this evening?
Or suggestions or historical.
Well, they would have to be public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the case down, or do we need to add language to enforce it?
Well,
in
we,
infrastructure or major rehabs?
the planning board is trying to enforce it.
Okay,
So,
but we can't enforce it unless our local laws
Right.
or regulations provide for it.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at, are, do they currently or no?
No.
we try to
Okay.
find, our consolidated plan talks about
Okay,
that we should do it that way.
okay,
So we try to follow the consolidated plan.
okay, in which case I'm supportive of adding language to make sure that that's the
I
case.
saw 3 nods and I saw 4 nods, so there shall I.
Make it so.
Yeah.
Let me start on the next one.
Okay.
In every municipal building code that I have worked with. There is a provision that says if you have a pre-existing non-conforming use. Like I've got my boundary in the basement of my house, but it was there since before zoning. It's not zoned for it, but I'm not prevented because. I was operating when the zoning went into effect. That's a pre-existing non-conforming use and it's legal. If I cease to operate my little boundary, then I lose. I cease to use it like that for 2 years. Then I lose it. It may be in our code somewhere, but I looked in.
I couldn't find it.
I don't think so.
So.
Well, you're right, it's in every other code, every other village town.
So I'd like to add something that's not. I would care about. 15 months, what we do care about is whether we've gotten the code so people know what their rights and liabilities are. And then the other thing is.
Can I get some clarification on that too, as an example, I'm just gonna give a hypothetical. Home with a non-compliant garage. Okay, it's non-conforming, it was before the zone, doesn't meet the setback requirements, is foreclosed upon. That home is then vacant for 3 years before it is sold. Is this saying that that garage or that accessory building that was non-conforming has to be removed, has to apply for, like,
No,
I understand the use example that you gave.
Because that garage has sat there.
Okay,
If the garage is removed. Take my garage, which is right on my rear lawn.
yeah,
It was that way when I bought it, it was that way when the zoning went into effect.
yeah,
If I remove my garage, which I did.
Yeah.
And don't replace it for 2 years, I then have to have a setback.
got it, okay, thank you.
Well, I look at it this way too, to say if you go and get a permit to do, which is very often in the village, you get a permit to do something and don't do it. It just sits there for 3 years, if you get after 2 years, you gotta start all over again.
They have an expiration. The permits have an expiration, don't they?
The permits do, but
You got
the
CPA,
planning board and
yeah.
the zoning board have no date, I think they should.
Like if I went to the zoning board and I got permission to put it on my. It did not meet the setback requirements, I didn't do it,
Right.
and they decided 5 years
You
down
have
the
to
road,
go back to
and
the zoning
got
board.
it, yep,
Okay.
makes total sense.
So what I was talking about is the first 4.1 lines. Then we have comma, as well as an area, as well as area and use variances not acted upon within 2 years. So I'm given a variance to have a foundry in my basement. And the ZBA doesn't say you have to be.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
So that's the recommendation.
I don't have a problem.
Make it so.
and we keep talking about dealing with the homeowners on Burley. With all the development going on down Wood Road and those like lady. You know. Already, about truck traffic. Is there something we should meet with them, the planning board, we should have a meeting, you know, see what they want.
I've heard that suggested at least half a dozen times, and every time, all the heads nod. But the meeting never gets scheduled, so it's kind of a request, to just simply say, let's pick a date.
Well, before we do that, what are the options? We looked at.
One way,
Hammerheading it.
one way speed bumps, no truck traffic.
You can't close that, right?
No.
Nothing to do with the buses.
It's not a state road, they closed, by the,
Yeah. That's a little-
Mulberville Road, they closed,
Yeah,
the
they-
DOT closed that.
DOT may, but we can't close that road, I researched it. Unless our superintendent of highways is able to sign an affidavit that says, I think it's 3 years. That this has not been used by the public,
Public right away.
then it's not abandoned, we just don't have that ability.
There's some culverts that are in bad shape, maybe we could, take a long time repairing them.
We can't hear you, we don't have them.
You could one way it in such a way that it becomes non-traversable, one way, and one way the other way.
Yeah,
That there's a lot going on farther down. The road going from Round Lake Road, like Washington, that is being used by. All the stuff down there, and we don't want it to be.
It's used as a cut through.
Right turns as opposed to left hand turns.
I think what might happen there, but I don't know, but the soccer camp. Owns 10 acres, they only use about 3 or 4 acres. The mill got about.
What was it?
What?
When was that?
Now, there was an expansion was denied,
Yeah,
the bill is still operating.
Oh, right.
but DEC is saying you can't do your banquet hall.
Until you do blah, blah, blah.
Because you've been doing stuff there behind our back for years, and they're not happy. So, so I think Wayne really wants to do a banquet hall. Now his son-in-law owns the soccer camp, with extra land. And I talked to his son-in-law about it, the owner, Wayne, and he said, I think what an event. You know, weddings and stuff, is it event space, but no, just like a place to have events. You know, it's in Clifton Park, so I have no say in what it does, but that's I feel down the road, that's gonna be a banquet hall. And down the road, there's gonna be a lot more traffic going down Burlington and.
Can we restrict them from driving, like having in and out traffic on her line and have district be on that piece of wood road that is in.
That wouldn't help
that
because they just go and turn left. Maybe the traffic will still go down Washington.
Is the problem that the residents have there, the speed of the traffic or the volume of the traffic or both?
I hear more about trucks, I do hear
Right.
all the truck traffic.
Yeah, well, we already have a wait limit,
We don't.
which is not enforced, I know.
They said it's post delivery.
Yeah, it's, I know it's unenforceable, but,
I like what you said about replacing culverts, I told that to Johnny.
Yeah.
Just start doing work on that road.
If it was to be one way, would it be one way so that you could only go southbound on Washington Ave? Would that be?
I thought we'd ask the people what they
Yeah.
want, you know, they're the ones that have to deal with it.
Yeah,
And who knows, there, an idea Mayor presented at that meeting that we hadn't considered and is tough.
we do the workshop meeting
Workshop for April.
April 1st, April Fool's Day.
It's gonna probably include some budget stuff for April.
That's fine.
I'll say I've worked on Washington Ave, and the cars going north go, everyone's fast enough, like. There are guys going from their vehicle to the car, you know. Definitely the traffic on the north.
Yeah, because I mean, my question about getting at the speed or volume thing is there's things we can do to lower speed. There's
Yeah.
not much we can do to
Yeah.
lower volume, so I think that in
Yeah.
other than one weighing or blocking or otherwise, so I think that I need to get a handle on what the actual issue is, or if it's a combination of the two, but
Yeah, I could fully go
Would you
back
do
and forth.
one way for certain hours?
no, it becomes very difficult to enforce.
Enforcement is always. the
Yeah,
issue.
enforcement, yeah,
If,
I can just see that.
if we. Well,
as you're driving down, the clock ticks off. Gate closed.
Susan and I just then.
Yeah.
Gave to Kim 8 more copies of the traffic camera resolution. Home rule thing, so if that gets through, we can do that, we could put a stop sign right at Baines End and have a camera there, so. We'll annoy people, and make a little money in it.
We could make it a toll.
Essentially,
There you go. People not to the wall.
Yeah, so you have to pay to go through,
So we got a date and time for the first bulleted item on the second page,
and residents.
and then the second bulleted item on the second page. Comes under the category, everybody complains about the rule, but nobody does anything about
Yes,
it, or in this case, parking.
yeah.
Alright.
Are we on the last bullet point now?
Yeah. The last one. Came up. Kids playing in the playground, they play soccer, and, she said the cars up along there, walking along the playground, my kid's gonna get hit by a car. They're jogging in and out of the playground. So. I think that we should take a corner of the playground. Or somewhere in the playground and put parking. Or,
Yeah.
You know,
I've thought about this for a long time, obviously, I live right there, there's two people that need parking
Right.
spots, there's the guy that lives next to me, and then there's, Irene and
Right.
3 daughters. Those are the two cars, if you put it, if you're looking at the park, and you put it on the left-hand side of the park, maybe 3 spaces, 4 spaces tops. And then no parking in basically anywhere else, because that's where the kids cross the street.
Where the kids cross the street, I would. Put a concrete barrier.
Yeah, fences or the barrier or
I
something,
mean, shut the street down.
yeah, that too,
That's what
I
I
mean,
like to.
but that's what we thought, put a couple of parking spots.
yeah, there's two,
And that's what we thought, 2 people, we know of 2 people.
that's it, I mean, I sometimes if I have guests and whatever, I'll park my car there, I'm more than happy to have that not be parking, believe me, but there's 2 spots that are. In front of Alumni Hall that are village, cause I've measured this out. And then there's basically the other 2 spots are essentially Lisa Santee's, there's actually 4 spots there too. But 2 are on her property. And 2 are village.
Has that-
Yeah.
That's-
But one thing I was gonna
I
say,
think I have to go after Lisa and tell her, get your unregistered vehicle
Yeah.
off the village property.
yeah. Because there are those 2 spots that are directly opposite where I park my 2 cars on those are on Lisa's property technically, so I don't know if there's. A willingness to look into seeing if she would.
I don't know if those two spots are, I think those two spots are the paper street right next.
No, there's two that are on the paper, there's two that are basically paper street, and there's two that are, I measured. So some parking. There are people that park there occasionally, they're not, but that's one idea for consideration would be if we're looking for parking to see if we could do some sort of deal there to make that village parking entirely instead of,
Yeah,
I mean, she'd be willing to do that.
If you want, I could help you with the map there, we can show you exactly what you need.
Yeah. So
The main roads, those being main roads.
these spots right here are designated village spots.
Mhm.
There's actually about two spots to the left of that are Lisa's Santies, and we actually put stone down here. Here on the two spots that are our prop, but actually longer. You could probably work hard. So, well, this is the paper street here, which is where you see the two designated, but there's actually on Lisa's property, this actually goes further here.
So once the
But east is the one he's talking about.
Yes,
That would.
that's paper street, right?
Right,
That's not her property.
right, and it's only that one call.
Yeah,
but we could try to, it's something
Yeah.
that looks,
That's where these guys used to.
paper street.
Yeah.
You know,
So rather than making
it's not there.
here,
That's right for a pub.
yeah.
yeah, but now there's a bunch of people there, it's like my tenants there, these are always full now.
That's pretty, expand.
We could.
Two more.
Easily.
Yeah.
Well, this is one.
Most things is movement gravel.
Yes,
So we're gonna have to.
Might get like three, but pretty spot.
yeah,
Yeah, I think.
I think the village has, like,
Is there a way?
Yeah, somebody can have gravel on,
like.
Yeah.
Where they're like, they're moving cars gravel playground and saying, just don't pay for this. it's not
yeah, but down here, there's no kids, down here, there's no kids, at the bottom of where letting in, this is not the place, if you were gonna have a parking spot, this would be, like, I mean, I'm open to the idea of no parking.
Right in front of their house.
Right,
And so we should look at other ways of making.
yeah, I agree, the problem is a lot of now, that they're. They have kids that are now driving age and things like that, and. You know, there's proliferation of cars, right? And then what happens, this has happened to my tenant who parks over there all the time, somebody will literally park in the space she always parks in. And then there's, again, they're free to do that because it's village parking.
Playground should be what gets used, you know, that,
Yeah.
that would be my priority, we figure out other. Okay.
Or is always a place to put your car.
You know, you're not gonna get it right out of me if you say no more parking in the playground, believe me, but I'm just trying
Yeah.
to think what is. Also
yeah,
fair.
it's true, Nugent can actually.
He had his hand up. Yes, Thomas.
Okay, we're talking about various individual issues and problems and parking spaces. That's not what this is about. This is about the fact that everybody agrees we have to address kids running out between parked cars and getting hit, and whether we're having parking on parkland and so forth. I'm hanging around here. Property and and I know I've looked through at least 6 full reviews of parking. And nothing has ever been implemented. You know, you have putting a couple of spaces over there and so forth, but as far as some sort of a comprehensive review of all this. It simply doesn't get done. And whether we do it right or whether we do it wrong, the recommendation here is let's set in train a path to have this board review and address.
I think. Is to create new parking out of stuff that's sort of designated, but sort of not, so in terms of improving. I think that's what we got in places where people have just been parking for a long time, like around that spot where you said there's 3 cars, but there could be 5. We need to do that. We need to make it stripe it. Same with the basketball court, because we're gonna be taking away those EV spots. We need to make the parking at the basketball court. That. The area that like we're saying, okay, you can park in so that we maximize and make them the most efficient, and then take action to make sure that the areas where we really don't want people to park, they don't park anymore. I don't think it's a very complicated problem. I just hope there's been willingness to.
But what it requires is for decisions to be made.
Yeah.
My suggestion, and I'm sure there are many ways this can be done, let me throw this out, is that, at the end of every meeting, we'll set aside 20 minutes or 30 minutes to discuss parking, and we start anywhere, I don't care, in the village. And let's say we're talking about Prospect Avenue.
Yeah.
And then we go through and decide this is what we're going to do. And then the next meeting, we talk about Baker Park. And eventually we get through the whole village and we talk about, paper streets and all this other stuff. But eventually we start at A and we get to Z, and then we change our parking law so that it implements what this board has decided.
Yeah.
But Stu and his band of people put together, a recommendation. I was part of that, and it went to the ZBA and it went to the planning board, and the ZBA and planning board don't have any decision-making ability. Only this board can implement.
Is the recommendation the blue and you could remove the pink? Is that-
More complicated than that.
Okay, all right. Well, we can talk more about it another time.
I'm more than happy to do that anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was one of those parking committees at some point, so I'm willing to. Yes.
Got
Absolutely.
maps, Stu's got maps.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the maps.
Got our maps,
Great.
reviews out to wazoo.
Yeah.
But let's start with one geographic area of the village and move from that to the next until
Yeah.
we're done. Even if it's slow, something will get done.
Mhm.
If you had to say what are the priority areas, would you say that it would be around the auditorium and Baker Park? Are those the two hot spot areas?
Baker Park.
If you had to say what are the top two?
Baker Park
Yes.
and adjacent to
Yeah.
Oriental.
Yeah, okay, got it. Yep. So that same area. So let's start there.
So can we put this on the agenda? For the end of the agenda to spend, roughly half an hour. And we can start with Baker Park and go.
Yes.
Okay, we're done with Baker Park, it's after we're going to change our list as well after we finish that, we're gonna wait till we get to. But, we trying to, maybe that, when we're talking about, Roe Park, that we say, well, maybe we go back and tinker with what we did at Baker Park, but,
Yeah.
unless that happens, it's not over, it's over. Please, that's what. Question for the board is the board willing to do it that way, or some other way?
Yeah, I'm with.
Maybe we could have a first meeting to discuss some of the issues and see if there are similar ones in a couple different places. For example, I like the idea of moving forward, like you're suggesting. But if we do something in one location and then we do something else in a different location, and we treat different spaces differently, is that going to make things harder, especially when we're dealing with people?
I think by the time we're done,
Yeah.
since it's this board that will have gone through A, B, C, D, et cetera, that we're going to treat similarly
Yeah.
situated areas. Roughly fair as we can get.
Yeah, as long as we're not like learning too many different things as we go along.
And since we're not implementing until we're done,
Oh, I see what you mean. So come up with the ideas, but like maybe we have addressed, like we reviewed every place and then we would usually
Well,
change things.
what I'm envisioning is you review, let's take Baker Park. And say, this is what we decided to do.
Okay,
A. That's what we. Hey, so we're consistent with,
I see.
so that A and J are consistent.
Mhm.
The only thing I would say to add to that is we have to improve the areas where we are going to have people park before we eliminate parking, so that's the only, so we have to make sure that the net news, we can't just eliminate 10 spaces without any plan to figure out where those folks are gonna
That's
go.
another reason that we shouldn't
Yes.
implement until we're.
Right, so we just have to keep that in mind, because, and I'm totally in favor of doing that, and we have to do it in a way that respects, and I get it, nothing's gonna necessarily harm further, it's totally understand. But for making people do this work.
Do you have the original recommendations that you guys sent?
We did. I think we have the recommendations that your committee came up with
Yeah.
as they went to the ZBA and the planning board. They
Yes.
really weren't changed
We
very
have
much.
resend copies.
Yeah.
So for this one, playground parking, can we at least move forward with this since it's such a specific. The playground versus kind of parking in general, could we agree with this one and find a way to move forward with it?
Senator.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Well, the recommendation here for the no parking in the playgrounds.
No, the recommendation that you're being asked to move forward on is to schedule the first, the series of workshops where this board would make decisions. That's the request.
What Emily's asking is, should we, for the safety's sake, make changes quicker later on, which is kind of,
I like your idea, Matt, say we have 2 spots in front of Lisa's house,
Yeah.
and 2 spots on the paved street, 4 spots.
yeah,
It should be enough for anybody, and
Yeah.
that leaves basically the playground. Have college next to them.
And then figure out, maybe put up some sort of barrier, planters or something to make sure that people don't keep.
All we have to do is
Restart.
plant grass, just, the village crew is willing to do it. And
Yeah.
I was talking to them about it today, and that one pickup truck that's there, he parks it so far in, they can't even move the grass.
every time he goes in, he goes further.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
So is it, so would this have to be voted on here? Do we-
Technically, they're out of compliance now, so then we have to,
the reality is you don't have to vote on anything.
yeah,
Code says you're not allowed to park.
yeah, so we would just have to alert those folks out
Unless
of.
there's a sign saying.
Yeah. Right, you have to.
So Irene would just have to know, and the other guy would have to I forget what his name is. My other neighbor
Mhm.
would have to know that you can't park there anymore.
Mhm.
I mean, he can park on Prospect, it's close enough.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
and Irene can park around the
Go around the
corner,
corner and back,
which is
yeah.
where she used to park, I think, right? The only problem with there is, again, there are people that have taken those spot, and again, they're free to do it because it's public, but. People end up fighting, and I don't want hunger games of that happen. Over.
From us to the platform board? In terms of.
I mean, we could put a sign, I think we should put some sort of notice out first, saying
Yeah.
as of,
Talk to the people.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on the agenda, which is which is published
Which agenda?
every month.
yeah, but it's a conversation with 2 people, I
Yeah.
think, that's, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
I think
would be part of those things.
I assume it's too early to do this month, or do you want to do it this month, Terry?
I'll be in Ohio, so.
Okay, then why don't we do it,
We already talked about putting something on the April 1st, which was,
Right.
the, what's it?
Early watching.
Yeah, the Washington,
Right, that was a workshop.
yeah,
And was it Tuesday meeting?
but then you said there was budget stuff we had to talk about.
Just be prepared for it.
Okay. Okay.
It could also be the.
Yeah,
So we're not doing the workshop in April?
Yeah.
no, we already
Okay,
had the workshop, and we're covering the Washington early folks. But we can also cover the playground in April.
So that. Perfect.
See, like the folks that are parking at Orient, there's like a half dozen cars, so you have to figure out like where are those. Gonna go. This is Baker, this is Orient,
This is Sunny.
Sunny Park,
Oh, right.
Okay, but that's the April.
yeah.
Okay.
A lot of friends.
You don't have
That is easy.
Yeah,
Short one.
there,
This. Legitimate board meeting,
which one's that?
take a note.
All right, jumping ahead. Came up today, is we need to re-adopt a resolution that we passed unanimously last year, allowing the village to, request that the state assembly and state senate
Stop sign.
yeah. Basically. That law, if they would allow us to put stop signs with cameras on. This would be at no cost to the village. It's a company that does it, takes, I think, 60% of any fines collected, and the village gets 40%. As I recall. So, whereas failure of motorists to stop signs within the village of Round Lake has been a longstanding and dangerous problem, which has not been significantly reduced by increased law enforcement patrols, speed humps, or flashing lights, and whereas a number of stop signs which are routinely ignored by motorists are also bus stops, at which and were pledged that proposed in the forms of Senate Bill S7194 and Assembly Bill A7608. Which bills would permit the village of Round Lake to enact a local law or ordinance establishing a demonstration program of up to 5 years, imposing monetary liability on the owner of a vehicle for failure of an operator to stop for a stop sign located in the village. Now therefore, it is resolved that the Board of Trustees of the village of Round Lake fully and unconditionally endorses and supports Senate Bill S7194, and it is further resolved that the Board of Trustees of the village of Round Lake fully and unconditionally endorses and supports Assembly Bill A7608. And it is further resolved that the Board of Trustees of the village of Round Lake new state S714 new state A into law. And it is lastly resolved that the mayor of the village of Round Lake is authorized and directed to execute home rule requests and any other documents necessary to advance the said Senate and Assembly bills. Do I have a second? Discussion?
No, still in favor.
So this would go into effect only if it's passed and signed.
Last year it got stuck in the transportation committee in both houses. And that's where it is currently this year as well, so.
Okay. Do we get to say where we want the camera? Like we, right?
Yeah.
All the, deal with all the procedures and stuff.
It's not a moneymaker for municipalities, as far as I understand it, the company set it up as an investment.
Yeah.
I seconded it.
No, he seconded it.
It was Matt, the mayor made it. Oh. You did second it?
No,
I seconded it, Gary, yeah.
That's what I thought. Oh, and I thought you said, no, I did.
All right, stop causing trouble.
I'm just looking at the minutes from a year ago and the discussion on that. So by submitting the home rule for the stop sign cameras will not obligate the village to enact them. The main goal is to slow down the traffic. There's an option to hand out warnings before tickets, and this is a bread builder.
Yes.
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 Yes. Moving to orientation.
I was saying, go ahead.
Or contract. Do the contract,
I was thinking about doing the contract first.
contract.
Right, that's your choice.
Tom, did you want to?
he's over it. So we decided to do the contract for car ATM as two separate contracts. because they're doing very different things. So it's all their performance in May.
There are 2 different fiscal years too.
That is also true, yeah. So for those 2 reasons, we decided to split them up, especially because we really wanna look at their July contract and just add some more verbiage about. Just because of their growth and everything like that, we wanna make sure we outline things and, I'll get recommendations from them about things that they would like included on their July contract. So the May contract, we have it set up based on their uses and. I do have all of their events which I can forward to the board so that you can see the list of what this quantity of 17 is for their uses in May.
We want to put that in calendar too.
Yeah, and that I actually have it. As it's not like an event calendar that we use for marketing promotion of this. It's, yeah, and it, right now it's visible by the public. And I think it's okay because it's kind of a hidden link at the bottom.
Okay,
And I mostly have it so that it's easily accessed for residents. Okay, so that especially the people in the circle. Know what events are happening at the auditorium. Especially if they see somebody loading in, just so that they're aware of. They could go on there, so that I planning that up. I guess maybe we'll have Gary send it out as like a link that residents can see. But then otherwise, Tom has some verbiage updates in red, which I agree with all ones that he's helping me get a little bit more clear in some of them, and then also just helping me with contract speed.
you may not have the
What do you look for?
red version.
I got it here.
Okay, I didn't have that one. All right, thank you.
I guess the only thing that I just thought of while I was sitting there is. The bathrooms might not be open, they're hoping to use this like the first week of May for this, to start auditions. And perhaps so the bathrooms potentially might not be able to be open. So I wonder if we should include some verbiage about. That,
I know we discussed it at the meeting,
yeah,
you know, because it for last winter went on forever. They didn't. They said that if they opened it, they could put a bit of antifreeze or something like that in the toilets that way.
it should be okay, yeah.
What would be the alternative? They'd have to use the community room?
Yeah, so I don't know if we need verbiage about that in the contract.
No,
Okay, yeah. Cause Brady and Andy.
the only place where I would say that they would need verbiage is if we were requiring them to get like a. Or John or something, and I think that's not gonna be necessary, so.
Yeah, I don't think so, and that's the other thing I do wanna put in the line of contract,
Sure.
is, I'd like to just limit there, like just pick a number. Just have all this out. Except. Well. You know. The seats, and. Starting to feel like.
So
Each
they
year is gonna continue to grow, so I think that we need to just watch their ticket sales.
Do we have an official capacity for the auditorium?
We do,
Yeah.
and I think we can just enforce it
Okay,
in contracts, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
okay,
the other thing
It's
is
pretty big.
they start using.
yeah, it's like 450 or something like that, isn't it?
No,
It's not that high.
it's.
That's
Some-
less than that.
something in the threes.
yeah, I would
Right,
say
I was
close
close
to
to
350.
350.
Okay.
more than the number of chairs, I'm assuming.
Well,
There's. Yeah. So I think I would feel okay with limiting the ticket sales to, but you do have to consider like, there's the performance as well.
Yeah.
So,
All right, well, we should look into what the number
Yeah.
looks like then, but yeah, that makes sense.
cause with all of the Carpathian kids and then 302 seats, that's our 350 number, easy. So,
I know they had. Changing rooms, portable
yeah,
rooms before, but have they had bathrooms?
they have,
And then we have not required those in the past.
They don't need to.
Yeah,
I'm not
no,
gonna
it would
push that.
be. Yeah, no,
We haven't had any issues.
yeah, okay,
yeah, it really doesn't, It's really not a problem with camp, like, I mean, Molly and I did a lot of cleaning of camp. Which I regret a little bit, and I'm also thankful that we did that, just because I got to like firsthand see it.
Yeah.
And now as we delegate that to a cleaner.
Okay.
What did I?
Hey, we did it.
You know, backstage bathroom, is that fixed? Or is it-
No, you're talking about the pink, the one that was pink, right, I call it so the backstage rooms, I just use stage language, so I call it stage right. Backstage and then stage left, so I think you're talking about the stage left.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing, we didn't do it.
Right, we should put that into operation. I mean,
Yeah, that was.
so yeah, let's make it work.
Yeah, we had one on the side. No, because then all of the performers for company. The ones like that, so.
As it relates to the May contract, I don't have any objections to anything in here, so you just need the resolution to adopt, authorize,
Yeah,
Always
with Tom's red line, I'll just
Yeah.
make all the changes.
so it's actually, so we're authorizing you to sign. Okay, so I'll make a resolution to authorize the auditorium director to sign the May or ABM contract, as it is with the reference.
Discussion?
And they may come back with things that they'd like to see in the contract, and I'll just make sure I can know what is going with those.
Yes.
All righty, moving on to
Okay.
Blue Jay. Yes. You wanna
Yeah, you can
start it off?
So the way that I interpret our 5 codes is that personal service is gonna be. Directors and then a cleaner, and then Dan is requesting interns, so I view those as people that work. In the off-season planning, and then people that work during the season to make sure that events are successful. And then the second one, equipment is anything we need for events. I don't interpret that as the building needs. So, and then the next one, contractual, I'm interpreting that as event support, so I'm thinking like sound techs, light techs, parking help, that kind of thing. And then the next one, contractual performance would be for the art. And so I don't.
Marketing and PR is mostly gonna be via social media or.
Yeah, so I think I have 3 outlets that number will contribute to is
Okay.
The website, which includes email campaigns.
Yeah.
And then print, so like our brochures, and then anything that we would do, I wrote press here, in the notes, but. I do have a contact at the Times Union now about try to.
Thank you.
Right, yeah, so
And Terry ran the auditorium, and they convinced Dixie to give them money so they could advertise on NPR.
Yeah,
And I think that's a great,
yeah, we spent quite a bit of money on that radio back in the day, because I remember it was a decent amount of,
the only challenge is it's so expensive.
It is
that
very
we almost
expensive.
Don't get that money back. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it was I'm gonna say it was like $3,000 just for the NPR, so, but I think if you can get articles in the TU or even get like, local news.
Yeah.
You know, I got somebody at NYT that probably would love to do
Oh, sweet.
a piece,
Sweet.
on the village.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, so,
So yeah, and then I think though that there are some times that there's an event that radio would be helpful, and I think that we are doing a really good job with online ticket sales for the first time ever.
yeah,
So I think as long as. If we do end up advertising, I think that could come out of an event budget that's separate from this line item.
how much are we looking for in terms of performances for the summer? Is the calendar
It's,
getting there full?
yeah, so like June, that time, and then the fall is still. In the
Okay.
works, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be able to announce that in April for sure, so. But yeah, so I think that $3,000 though will just help with brochures and. Just like the basics, and then if we feel like there's an event that we really wanna set 300 tickets for, we could build that into that specific event. Basically, just don't go in the red.
And the equipment amount, is that do you anticipate any specific things that need to?
Dan has a list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was,
And he's very frugal and very, he doesn't buy anything extra.
yeah. So then just to jump into the personal service, I would like to take a because. You know, 2,500 is maybe like a guarantee, and hopefully we could pay more than that. I think it's just one person, but.
Okay.
Now, in terms of funding it. When I'm making the budget, I think the draft I sent you guys had, on page 2, of the handout.
Okay.
In orange, you'll notice there's 2 blanks there.
Mhm.
I did not include that in the budget, otherwise it would throw it way out of whack.
Okay.
And that's why I suggested that we do the same thing we did last year, which is carry over unused auditorium, unused funds that had been allocated for the auditorium into the current fiscal year. And if we do that again, we will be able to plug that in those 10,000 in each of those 2 empty spots.
So I just want to get clear, this is where I was falling off, so we did not, so last year. We budgeted what for the auditorium, we budgeted 47, 40,000 or 47,000?
I think it was 40.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you're saying we didn't spend 20,000 of that number?
We had some good revenue, so yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So,
Most of it's mine that are in crazy people. So.
yeah, okay,
and you mentioned UFB,
yeah,
We also,
any unspent money just goes into the element.
so what you're saying is that unspent auditorium money went into it, so the way. Plugging gap by the money that we had left over from last year that was auditorium, so it's not spending,
Right,
okay,
it wouldn't be new taxpayer money, it would be
Yeah,
money that's
I don't
already
actually,
been allocated. At the end of, in June 1st, it goes into the unfunded, into our 2,000, our cash
yeah,
account. And then in June, we would allocate 10,000.
should that not have gone into an auditorium reserve fund then,
It-
unspent auditorium money?
You do that, it would go into repairs.
I know, but it was an auditorium repair fund, but we also, don't we have a general,
We have charitable gift reserve, but I'm
okay,
not sure.
I'm just thinking from a structural point of view, that I wanna make sure that we're not. Playing the shell game, that's all.
I like that idea that we.
Yeah, but come up with some other category.
Yeah, that's what we gotta do, I think that's what we gotta do, we gotta have, if we, yeah, you're right, we only have an auditorium repair fund, so why don't we create an auditorium contingency fund? Which dumps the leftover
Yeah.
revenue from the prior year into it, and then that
Yeah.
way structurally, I just wanna make sure that, cause it makes sense what you're saying, but I wanna make sure it looks,
It's more transparent.
it's more transparent,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly,
I like that too, because that helps us make decisions.
yeah,
Because I would like, we need help to really like pull up parking well and then just.
yeah,
have it-
I have no issues with the budget at all, I think the budget's fine, I just wanna make sure that the way we're funding it is appropriate
Yeah, I
and
agree.
transparent, so. And we might need the treasurer here to create a new revenue or a new account, but I think that we should do that, but in principle, I'm okay with doing that for this budget year and then maybe that's going forward.
I think that's great too, because then we can decide if that does end up funding into repairs.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
And the auditorium money should stay, it should be clear that. it's-
yeah, exactly, it shouldn't go get diluted in UFB, it should, that's revenue that was earned and should be pumped back into the auditorium, so, okay.
Well, I know when people give us donations, that, it's a donation for the auditorium.
Yeah,
I usually say, is it the building or the events?
Yeah.
And that's how I separate it
Yeah.
and determine how that money is, it's either going in one direction or the other, but.
That's great. Because we actually we have a donation button on the website, and it's cool to actually see this on paper. People are giving $10 on PayPal every now and then.
yeah,
It's pretty neat. So I think you're right, maybe I could change that to PayPal form if we're gonna have a separate account.
Yeah.
So that they can designate where it goes.
Cool.
Money for. To the authorities.
People come in and write checks.
Yeah, but they don't have to say, what are you doing, you wanna give this money for performances or maintenance reserve? Or what, like, just
Then
make
you
a
have
donation.
track of
Yeah.
it.
They do, but because we had to go to two different accounts, like,
We have a charitable donations
right,
fund and a
they're two different,
municipal building repair fund.
We
right,
already have the extra level of complication.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Oh. Great idea.
So there's no action needed on this one, you were just presenting it. Okay. Yeah. Go on. Hey.
Next, we have public comment, and let me preempt Mr. Finkel by saying that we are getting close to figuring out how to legally sell a fire truck.
Getting close.
I was online looking at,
Now, don't-
it runs across the board.
You're gonna have a hard time finding something here.
Up here, right,
Yeah, I had another question, don't we have radar signs?
Yes,
What are you close up?
yes,
When?
way around Cause at the corner.
we're getting close.
Yeah.
At the, near the S turn on George and on Washington,
My house,
down beyond your house,
towards Dixie's,
towards Dixie's.
okay.
We got under a grant from the county to improve the safety on the Zim Smith, so they have to be near the Zim Smith.
Okay.
Where the S turn is, and
Well, the stop signs go on with City Smith, and technically, they're supposed to be the ones stopping. I know, but if anybody gets hit with a vehicle, you're gonna be the one that's responsible. Because of the way.
But that's straight, it's not right away.
Right, that's what I mean, even though they've got the stop sign on the trail,
Yeah, I know.
it's not even a yield,
Yeah.
you know?
Snowmobiles.
anything else?
Not really. Pretty well, and I don't want my edge, but now under that, I mean, people do speed going that way.
Oh, yeah.
And I get a lot of traffic.
Old foot.
Oh, it's
I get a lot of traffic
so
going past my house.
Whitfield has been great, like I don't know what's gotten into people, but they're going even fast, it's crazy, I don't know.
That's parking's only part of this.
Yeah.
I'm glad my house isn't close to the road, that's all I know, you know, it's set back a little bit, it's so bad, I mean, cars fly by there.
Yeah. Yeah, they. Every. I can take the kids soccer practice.
No, that.
Well, I'm talking to 8 elementary schools and
Take them two.
two soccer.
Two soccer.
8 till 9.
Good.
I know. I
Are
know.
you gonna Slade's camp or?
Let's no. Put the park soccer.
He's really